Oh, well, hello. And it is, I think, is it day 7 of Dexter's Advent Calendar? I'm kind of losing count, and I've got a stinking head cold to boot as well. So do forgive, do please forgive my rather my croaky voice. Anyway, before we get into today's video, which is going to be editing an old picture of mine, I bought something as usual. I bought this Fringer adapter, which allows me to adapt my micro nickel 105mm f2.8G lens, aka the GOAT, to my Fujifilm X-H2 camera. And with that, then I get, because it's a smart adapter, I get autofocus, which isn't important, because I don't tend to use autofocus when I'm shooting macro. But more importantly, I get proper control of the lens's aperture. Before, with the I think it was a Best Joy adapter I was using before, you did have like a rudimentary aperture or iris ring on it, but you know, it's a bit hit and miss and a bit guesswork. And now I can control it properly with one of the command dials and get full metadata, which is quite important to me. Now, I went out the other day to test it, and I shot these 3 images, which I'm quite happy with. And I've actually printed them as a triptych. There we go. Let me make sure I got this right way up. There we are. Printed it. That's a really rather nice triptych. So I might find a frame and hang this up somewhere. Particularly like the frosty leaves. I like that image. Right. Anyway, onto today's video, and I'm going to look at resurrecting an image I shot with my Fujifilm X-T2 way back in February of 2018, and see if I can apply any new photo editing skills that I may have gained over the years, plus obviously the new functionalities in Lightroom, and a little bit of dabbling in Photoshop as well. Before we start though, let's get these images up for you to have a look at. Where are they? Right, I need to press I need to start screen recording now. This is going to get awkward here, right? Because I've got to record my screen. I've got to record me, obviously. I have to record audio, and I've got to sync it all up then with the editing portion of this. But you know, I would advise, don't try this at home, because you know I am a professional. But if you are, then obviously safety goggles are an essential. Right, here's the image, or the images I shot. It's a bracketed set of images of the little rocks, and then a lovely sunset light at this would have been Limeslade Bay in Mumbles. Now I shot, obviously this is the correct exposure, then we've got 1 over and 1 under. Now I shot this bracketed because it was my X-T2. I'd only just got it, so I wasn't certain of the dynamic range of the camera. And shooting 3 bracketed images does give me a couple of options. I can blend all 3 as an HDR in Lightroom. I don't necessarily tend to like the results that provides, particularly in the highlight areas of the image. I could obviously paint the underexposed sky over the correctly or +1 exposed image of the foreground, but again, because you've got these sort of jaggedy edges here, and this sort of promontory coming into the sea here, you are going to end up with halos around that. So I'm going to try and avoid that as much as I can. So what I'm going to do is pick the -1 EV image, which has protected the highlights in the sky the most, and lift the shadows in the foreground here, because the image is all about 2 things. It's about this lovely coloured foreground. You've got like the oranges and yellows of the algae in the rocks, and then you've got this green, also algae, I guess, growing in the little rock pools. And of course you've got this absolutely lovely lovely bit of sunset light and some some vignetting there, because I shot this at, where is it, 10mm, so the lens was like wide open focus wise, and it was 1/4 of a second at f11 base ISO of 200 then on the X-T2. So let's get into editing this little image. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to worry about this vignetting for now. I'll get rid of that later. I'm going to select using the new masking functionality, well, newish now. Select the sky, and then I'm going to intersect that with a linear gradient. So I will drag a linear gradient down there and check the horizon for level as well. It's okay, it might be a little bit off. We'll have a look at that after. Right, exposure wise, I don't think I want to take the exposure down any further than it is, so maybe half a stop, down. Come on, let's go to half. There we go. But what I will do is warm it up a little, because it was a very warm sunset sky, so I'll warm it up just a tad, and then I'll do my usual texture and clarity adjustments. So you add a little bit of punch into that. Now, as you can see, the -1 EV image has really protected these hot highlights. The sun was setting kind of like over here. Obviously then it's lighting up all these clouds that are close to it, and these beautiful clouds further up. And that's all I'm going to do with the sky. Should I deal with these bits here now? Yeah, let's have a look at dealing with these anyway. So what we'll do, we'll get the clone stamp, and we'll get a nice big area of cloud, and then we'll try, perhaps we'll paint that in there like that. Maybe is that going to work? Don't think it has, is it? Maybe I'll deal with that in what's it called? Photoshop. That's it. Photoshop. So let's get that mask back up. Make sure I haven't yeah, I haven't done the clarity. Look, see, I've gone too far. What a muppet. Anyway, that sky's looking really quite nice, isn't it? Really quite nice. Now again, what I could do now is choose the foreground. So I will do create a new mask, select the sky, and then invert it, and that then gives me this foreground mask here. So what I want to do with this basically is lift the exposure one stop, full stop, to bring it up to like the correct exposure level, and also lift the shadows just a tad. I can still remember this evening, because when I shot this image, I thought, if I mess this up light-wise, I don't deserve to be a photographer. It was just easy. It was an easy, low-hanging fruit. So that is that. Now what I'm going to do now is deal with these colors individually. So I'm going to use the new color picker tool, or point color tool. So I'll create a new mask. Now I think you can do this by selecting like a color range, but I don't know how to do that yet, and I don't want to learn on the job, so so to speak. So what I will do is I'll mask off, or I'll mask these, paint over the green this here. As I said, there's probably a much easier way to do this by just selecting a color range. So I don't want to do a global adjustment, I just want to do like selective adjustments of the greens here. Right, so what we'll do is we'll make them, get the point color, get in, choose that green, and then we can increase the hue and the saturation to our choice. and I'll also brighten it up. Oh, look at that! That really is making that. That really is making that algae pop now. There we go. And we'll do the same with these oranges. So I just get a nice big brush. Brush over these oranges. Again, get my point color. Find a nice bit of bright orange. There we go. And again, we can darken or deepen the orange hue-wise. Let's bring that to like -15. Saturate it a little more. And again, make it pop with the luminance shift or slider. And that pretty well is it. I think what I might do is add some global contrast, not too much, just a little. Bring these shadows up just a touch more. Perhaps drop the highlights a tad to compensate. And that's all I want to do in Lightroom. So what I'm going to do now is open this image in Photoshop and deal with the vignetting issue that we have. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Here we go. Adobe Photoshop opening up, and it's usually a lot quicker than this, my machine. I've got nothing else running, and we will deal with these issues using the eraser tool. So there we go. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. I've got a little bit of vignetting in this corner and a tiny bit down here as well. Now what I want to do now is use the eraser tool again, and I'm going to leave this, am I? Because it's, I don't like having like bright white objects or bright highlights on the edge of a frame. Now, I could crop this out, but then I don't want to lose like this orange here and these elements in the sky. So we'll have a look at, we'll see what it does if I erase that. That's not too bad actually. And we'll get rid of, I think there's a car there and some little elements there, and that really is that. That's all I'm going to do with this image. Right, I'm quite happy with that. So I'll stop the recording now. Save that, and there we are. That is that old image edited. I'll put it up now for you have a good look, good old long look at, and I'll also pop like the starting files that I shot as well at the end for you to have a look at. But that is basically it. I'll do another one of these editing videos this time next week, hopefully. Okay, if this gets any worse, then this Advent thing may be scuppered before it started, or going into its full stride. Hopefully, I'll be okay, yeah, and I'll be able to make the rest of the videos I want to make. So, God willing, I will shoot a new image for this time next week. So we'll go out, shoot a brand new image somewhere. Probably not a landscape. Perhaps we'll do something a little bit different. Maybe even a portrait. I don't know. Maybe a portrait. Maybe a still life. Maybe a macro shot. And we'll come back and we will we'll edit that this time next week. Is that a date? There we are. Okay then. We will see you tomorrow. I'm going to record that video right now. So I'll have the same top on, sorry, and the same croaky voice. And tomorrow's video is a review of an app, the slow shutter app on my Apple iPhone 15 Pro Max. We'll have a look at that. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow then. Ta-ra.